Welcome, modern day mystics, fellow truth seekers, James and Justin, back again with another reaction video. Now, we did a reaction on the 10 avatars of Vishnu. It was just kind of like a brief overview. And now, like I said, we're going to go through each individual one and take a closer look at them. So we're going to start at the first one, which is Matsya Avatar, the first Avatar of Vishnu, and this is done by Hindu Saga.
I love it. That's such a good idea. I didn't realize that's what we were doing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, so let's get into it.
Dashavtar represents the 10 different incarnations of Vishnu, which were taken to save the earth and its living beings from destruction. This video will narrate you the story of the first incarnation of Vishnu. To know about all the 10 avatars of Vishnu, watch the playlist linked in the comments below. Matsya, the first avatar of Vishnu, is in the form of a fish. Vishnu took the form of Matsya to rescue the Manu, the first man as per the Hindu epics, from a huge destruction. Once, King Satyavrat was performing a sacred ceremony beside a river. While scooping in some water from the river to offer to Surya, the sun god, he accidentally caught a tiny fish in the palm of his hand. Satyavrat was ready to release the fish back into the water, but the fish requested otherwise. The tiny fish begged him not to throw it back into the river, as the river had bigger fishes that would prey upon it. To save itself from other predators of the sea, the fish requested the king to take it along with him to his palace, convincing him that his palace would be safe and big enough to accommodate a small fish. King Satyavrat took pity on the little fish and took it with himself to his palace. Upon reaching there, he put the fish in a small bowl. The king was happy and satisfied that he was able to save the life of this little being. The next morning, Satyavrat came to check on the fish and was surprised to see that the tiny fish he had brought with him had grown large enough to fill the entire pot. Its size had become so large that its movement inside the pot became restricted. The fish requested the king to place it in a larger vessel, as it would not be able to survive in this pot for long. The king agreed and transferred it to a larger vessel he had. But the same night, the fish had outgrown the size of this vessel too. The fish again requested the king to move it to a place big enough to ensure her survival. Satyavrat immediately ordered his servants to carry the fish into a pond. For the moment, it seemed like the fish would live there happily, but the next morning, Satyavrat was shocked to see the fish outgrow the size of the pond. This time, the king transferred the fish to the largest lake of his kingdom, but in no time, the fish outgrew the lake too. The king had no other option but to drop the fish into the ocean from where he originally rescued it. He apologized to the fish that despite being a king, he could not save her or provide her enough to ensure her survival. As the fish was dropped into the ocean, its size knew no bounds. It grew beyond what Satyavrat's eyes could see. At this point, Satyavrat concluded that this was no ordinary animal, but it had to be a divine appearance of God. Satyavrat bowed to the fish and apologized for thinking in his pride that he could save every living being on earth. He offered his prayers and requested the fish to reveal to him the ulterior motive behind this form. The Matsya took the form of Sri Vishnu and blessed Satyavrat. Matsya told the king that in 7 days a huge devastation in the form of flood would engulf the earth, killing almost all of the creation. Matsya ordered the king to call the 7 sages and gather samples of herbs, seeds and all forms of life to repopulate the earth upon the destruction was over. Matsya promised Satyavrat that it would send a boat to save them, and with its help they would be able to survive to begin the new cycle of Yuga. The king, upon understanding the orders of Matsya, began working on gathering everything as told to him. After 7 days, as Matsya had predicted, huge clouds appeared in all directions and began pouring on land and sea. The huge waves from the ocean flowed into the land, becoming one with it. Soon there was no land in sight, and the entire earth was flooded in water. Then Satyavrat, with all his companions, saw a large mysterious boat floating towards them across the waves. Remembering the words of Matsya, Satyavrat onboarded the 7 rishis, animals, all his belongings, and himself on the boat, finding some safety. Soon Matsya appeared there with the snake Vasuki. Vasuki tied itself to the boat on one side and held on to the horns of Matsya on the other side. Matsya, with the help of Vasuki, towed the boat across the waters of devastation. For countless days, darkness covered the world, and they wandered across the stormy ocean, waiting for the waters to subside. During their journey and the days of patience, Vishnu, in the form of Matsya, preached King Satyavrata and the 7 sages the spiritual knowledge of the Vedas. Satyavrat came to be known as Manu, the first man, and the 7 sages who accompanied him became the Saptarishis, going on to repopulate the earth.
Were there men and women on the boat?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I did.
Because they repopulated.
Yeah.
Whoa, check it out. Another monomyth. Another, sorry, not myth. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Yeah.
I'm saying the flood is something that appears in all the religions.
All over the world. All over the world.
Most of them, anyway.
Many of them. The flood story, fascinating. And I think it's good. To me, it's sad that we can't. That's the first time I've heard that story in my entire life.
From the Hindu perspective.
From the Hindu perspective.
Yeah.
And it is interesting to kind of hear it from that perspective. People have pointed out during the 10 Avatars of Vishnu video that we did that these stories kind of go in line with like evolution. So if you're looking at this from like a beginning point, you've got this evolutionary thing beginning. Now, I'm a little confused as to...
I even thought that when he pulled the fish out. I was oh, interesting, it starts with a fish. This is the story of evolution to some degree.
Yeah.
I've thought that.
It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And
yeah.
Which I was confused at kind of like the cunning play there on like why it went through that whole process of like, take me home. And then like, I don't want to get eaten. And then it was so big that I had just kept having to transfer it over and over again. I'm confused as to what is the meaning behind that story.
Yeah.
So if there's someone out there who could kind of like point me in the right direction on what that is all about.
Well, I also sort of saw it as the first opportunity for someone to do something good. It's I could be wrong about that, but I saw it as that way. The fish was, like help me, and so this guy had a decision to make, and he decided to be helpful, and then all the rewards that were born out of his out of his willingness to help this fish, which was Vishnu in disguise.
And there was also a lesson there in that Vishnu had said, like, you can't help everyone. That was kind of like a lesson, right?
So, but he did help, though.
Yes, he did help, but I just remember one of the key points in the video was that you can't save everyone.
He felt ashamed that he thought he could.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so similar, to the Noah's Ark story where they take the things on board and save them.
Yeah.
Different. Like, I'm not saying they're the same, but there seems to be a thing that many cultures have.
Yeah. Really fascinating, guys. That's great. I can hardly wait for the second one, actually. That's going to be good.
Yeah, I like this idea.
Yeah. Hopefully, you guys liked our reaction on this video. If you did, please don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share this with a friend, and everyone until next time,
stay spiritual.